Do you have a picky eater at home to pack school lunch for? In this video, you're going to get 5 school lunch ideas for your picky eater. Hi, I'm Stephanie Anderson, founder of the Peaceful Play Box. I help moms who work from home entertain their kids with creative play and also find time using strategies so they can get more work done. If you haven't had a chance to, please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell so you know when I post new videos each week. If you're looking for a video with specific recipes and examples of exact lunches for a picky eater, I'm sorry this is not the video for you. What I'm going to do here is explain to you some strategies that you can use with any type of food that will help your picky eater eat more school lunch. I've learned so much from going to feeding therapy with our 5-year-old for 4 years. So I have so many tricks. So let's get into it. Number 1, food chaining. So what is food chaining? A food chain is when you take a food that your child likes and you take a food that you want your child to eat and you find the bridge foods that will lead those foods to connect. So for example, maybe your child likes McDonald's French fries. So you start with McDonald's French fries and then maybe you incorporate a few of Burger King French fries. And then you get him to kind of like a few more things, and then maybe after that you graduate to frozen freezer French fries you make at home. And then maybe you try to make your own fries with potatoes and cut them up in a similar shape. And then after that, maybe you bread a vegetable and bake that at home. And then after that, just a straight vegetable in the same shape. So it's a way to go from one food to the next food in a chain. Another example might be if they like chicken nuggets. So you start with chicken nuggets, but then maybe after chicken nuggets and you want them to eat fish, then you try making your homemade chicken nuggets that are very similar. And then maybe you just bake them so they're a little less crispy. And then you bread fish, and then eventually you take the breading away. And that again is food chaining. So if you have a really picky child, you're gonna have to move very, very slowly through the chain. And if you have a child who's picky but not quite as picky, you can move a little faster. Food chaining is a great way to get your child eating more foods. So if you have a picky eater but not an extremely picky eater, like with our older kids, we use a food chaining way in that instead of just a normal peanut butter sandwich, maybe we'll try it on a waffle or a pancake or use a different type of peanut butter or add jelly. So there's ways to use food chaining to get creative with your school lunch packing to make it a little bit more fun and add variety to your child's palate. So see where we're going with food chaining? If you want to, in the comments below, give me a food that you'd like your child to try and a food that they like now, and I will do my best to let you know and write you back in the comments and set up a food chain for you. So we just tend to, as parents, complicate things too much. So it's best to just take things slow, little by little, which leads me to my next tip. Tip number 2, which is take it slow. We are adults and we expect our child to eat bigger portions than they actually can sometimes. When you want your child to try a new food, it's great if you can give them a very small portion so in their mind it feels like it's a little bit more manageable for them. And then also, a lot of families will have like a bite rule, like you must take a bite or you must take a certain number of bites if you don't like the food. But what I've learned in food therapy with my son is that there's actually a whole hierarchy of food bites. So you can start with like a mouse bite, and then you get to like a rabbit bite, and a cat bite, and a dog bite, and a tiger bite, and an elephant bite, and an alligator bite. So there's different size bites. So that's another thing. Just take it slow. Don't expect too much from your child at first. It's great if they can just get that flavor inside their mouth somehow, whether it be from their lips, their tongue, or a small bite, because the more that they are exposed to the flavor, the more likely it is that they will learn to like the food. Tip number 3, do not let the foods touch each other. That is huge with kids. They do not like foods touching usually. You never want to give, especially a picky eater, a casserole, like never. So if you watched our other video about Planet Box lunch boxes, those are great because they're all divided and the kids open it and they see everything in front of them, but they are all divided into different portions on the plate. So that's really important if you're eating dinner or lunches with your child. You want to make sure that the foods are not touching. And so, for example, you don't want to give a child chicken fettuccine alfredo the first time. Maybe for the first time they have noodles, they have the sauce, and they have the chicken. Because especially with picky eaters, they don't always know and understand inside their mouths how to deal with a noodle, which is very like slippery and soft, and a chicken, which moves around in the mouth differently and is more, it's a harder texture to move around in your mouth. And so to combine those together for a picky eater is really a big challenge, and it complicates things. So if you can just deconstruct the food, keep them separate, and that's a great tip for when you're packing lunches. So instead of packing a taco, have some meat, have the tortilla, have the tomatoes, have the cheese in separate compartments, and let them do it themselves. You can also deconstruct pizza or any sort of pasta dish this way as well. Tip number 4, involve your child in the food packing. So even if they're too young to actually prepare the food, you can make sure that they put things into containers and put it into their lunchbox. So that way they're touching the food, they're smelling the food, they're experiencing the food before you're surprising them with their school lunch. And that helps them get used to the foods and get familiar with the foods. Tip number 5, get playful with the food. Now I know this goes against everything your mom told you, at least my mom, but you want your child, especially if they're a picky eater, to be able to play with their food and have fun with it. So if you want to maybe try eating spaghetti or a pasta noodle of some sort, before you offer it to them in their lunch, maybe you want to make a sensory bin in a plastic bin of cooked pasta and let your child play with it, or have their little toys play hide and go seek in the pasta. Because I know it's hard for us as adults to understand this, but children need to understand how that food is going to act inside of their mouth. So if they're able to kind of maneuver it and see it with their hands, it makes it more familiar when they actually put it into their mouth. And along with playing with your food, you can play with the food too by making the lunches fun. Now, I know you've seen all of those things on Pinterest where they make faces and animals and cut out cute little shapes, and you're probably thinking, who are these moms that have time to do this? Because I know that's what I thought. But when you have a picky eater, the extra few minutes it takes to do that, the feeling that you get when your child comes home and eats their lunch, it's totally worth it. I will tell you, it is great to experiment with these things and try it, even if you just do it once in a while. Put some eyes on your sandwich or add some legs to the grapes. Like, do something a little bit fun to make it fun for your child to eat their school lunch. So there you have it. With these 5 tips, you have unlocked your lunch packing creativity for your picky eating child. Hopefully this helps you make better school lunches. And this is, remember, just part 3 of a 4-part series on lunch packing. So hope to see you in the other videos. And if lunch packing is not your thing, you got that down, then I'll see you in the next series. Like this video if these tips helped you, and let me know a food that your child likes down below and one that you'd like them to like, and I will do my best to get back to you with a food chain. Thanks for watching. Hope you'll subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.